From my last live segment that I did, shout out to Wristful Ignorance, my man Simon B. He mentioned a larger watch being more comfortable at anywhere from between 38 to about 42, which led to this live where I have some things that I want to show you. I want to show you some watches that are oversized in my collection. Now, here's the deal. I just received a bracelet from Long Island Watch for my Boulevard Lunar Pilot, which is known to be one of the bigger watches on wrist. I struggled with the BLP for a very long time, especially with the lug to lug being the biggest issue. The Boulevard Lunar Pilot is about 52 to 53, I believe, lug to lug. And no matter what strap that I put on it, even when I used to put on a strap bracelet for it that had a straight bar and it just came straight down like a mesh, it still didn't quite fit well on the wrist. Now, I got a new bracelet for it, which was from Long Island Watch, like I mentioned, and I'll tell you this, it made it fit better even on the lug to lug. And Marc did a fantastic job making that watch making the bracelet for the watch very, very clutch. So we're gonna get into that. I wanna say hi to everybody. And look, I decided to go live from the Batmobile this time because this is how it gets really personal. This is how I could read the chat. I know that I'm switching between screens when I go live at home, when I was at the live at Windup. So this has a lot of benefits going live in the car where I can read all of the comments. We could have a close conversation. And if not, then you can hit me on the playback for sure. And Christopher White says hello. What's going on, brother? Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. As you can see, I'm dressed down, so we're going to have some fun. And yeah, I was excited, man, because I told you last time on the last live that I was going to get the bracelet from Long Island Watch. Sure enough, on Saturday, I received said bracelet and yo, game changer. Look, here's what made me really decide. And I was praying that it would help with the dimensions from lug to lug, and it did. And I have to show you guys this watch off wrist and tell you and explain to you why that is. So this is the actual bracelet that we're talking about. What pushed me over the edge is that the bracelet had on-the-fly adjustment. Now, we're not getting quick release, right? Over here, we're not getting quick release. And again, this is from Long Island Watch. Now, before we get into how this changed the game for the BLP, I want to make sure that you guys understand this. If you're going to shop, if you own the BLP, and you're gonna shop for this bracelet specifically, make sure that you're getting the designated bracelet for the actual BLP, which we're talking about the original one here. I think that he also procured the bracelet for the smaller size, which is not that much smaller, but it does make a huge difference. So check the website for that. But even when you're shopping the bracelet for the BLP on the Long Island Watch website, he specifically notes which bracelet is gonna go for the watch that you're trying to pair it with. And I'll give you an example. My BLP, right, was the blasted finish, okay? But it was the blasted finish that came with the strap. Now there's a difference if you get the blasted or the polish when you get the bracelet from Boulevard. You're gonna need to receive a different bracelet altogether that he does provide, but you gotta make sure before checkout, and there is a long description that he puts out to make sure that you're buying the right one. So don't just go for a blasted finish. There's two versions of the blasted finish. One is with the watch that you received originally with bracelet, and the other one is when you received it with strap. So that's the only disclaimer that you need to know for this. But guys, it is a super game changer. Hannibal is in the building. He says he's on deck, and yes, you are, sir. Good afternoon. Guys, so there is a female end link to this bracelet, right? Which, of course, off the bat helps with the drop-off. But what I think really made the difference is that piece that goes in, and I know my camera's shaking, guys. I'm sorry, I have the AC running so I don't go overheated here. But you see how flush and how clutch it is to the case. It's almost as coming from factory. But the biggest thing is the part that's receiving into the lug to lug is actually curved down with the lug attachment itself. So when you have it on wrist, it makes that difference and it gives it a little bit more of a curvature. So I used to have a smidge overhang with the BLP, but because of that attachment that he put on there and then the female articulation straight down, I'll tell you what, man, it looks like it fits perfectly on wrist. I'll try to give you guys a wrist shot. And it's right on the money, right? It's not like it's making it like, you know, 2-3 millimeters smaller. But as you can see from the example that I'm showing you here now, it does hang off a little bit. Let me push it back. Here we go. So it is a little bit, tiny bit overhang. But again, because of that attachment there, fantastic. Also, like I said, It has that diver extension. It has that on the fly mechanism here. So that's what really pushed me over the edge. And I'll tell you what, man, if you look at the finish from the case itself to the bracelet, as you can see, it's phenomenal. And it's right on the money. Now, some people may get a little nervous because they'll see this gap, right? When I push the bracelet up, there's a gap coming off of there, but that's not how the bracelet's gonna wear when it's on your wrist. You're not gonna see that gap at all. That just gives it the phenomenal articulation downward, and the gap is completely gone, right? So if you own the BLP, man, I had to do it. And look, I'm gonna be messing with a lot more bracelets now that I didn't get any new watches at Windup. So I figured if I'm gonna enjoy my collection, I might as well mess around with some more bracelets. This was the newest edition. You guys saw the Seiko turtle that I have and the bracelet that I got for it as well. I have it with me today because it's part of the conversation, man. And this is what I want to know. First and foremost, what do you guys have on wrist? As you know by now, I have the BLP, but I also have the Casio Edifice Automatic. There's a special reason why I'm wearing this other than the fact that I can't get enough of it. But I have the micro adjust buckle on here from Fitwell that works closely with 5280. Not exclusively, but on all of the watches from 5280 for the straps, they have that micro adjust buckle. And I want to show you guys that as well as you settle in. Megazoid's in the building. What's going on, bro? So let me see if I can capture it on camera. So you see the little space in between here? That's the micro adjust for it all together, right? So if I push this forward, you guys see here that it settles in. Right? And again, I'm sorry for the shaky camera. I have the AC, which is causing vibrations. But you see the little hole there for the micro adjustment on the buckle? That's what you're going to get as far as an advantage goes. So if you're in a hole and you're in the hole on top and below and it's just not enough, you have these little adjustments that you can do to the actual buckle itself. I got a blasted finish that way. I don't receive scratches on a high contact part, right? Your buckle is going to be at the highest point of contact. And I'm sporting it on this Casio Edifice for sure, because why not? I know I wear it often and I want to mess with it. Now, there's two advantages for this style of buckle. And we went over this in my live stream, but I wanted to, present this also with a more personal live stream that we have. And guys, moderators, let me know if the phone's starting to overheat. I'll put the phone in hand. The micro adjust on this is necessary. You may say to yourself, well, Skylar, I switched to a strap when I have thermal expansion. And yes, it is smarter still to have a strap when you have thermal extension, or if you have the on the fly like you do on this BLP, of course. However, it's still necessary because even though you have these cutouts for the holes and where you want to put it, if you have that thermal extension, it still may not be a perfect fit, right? And over time, the hole that you use the most is going to start stretching. And it may cause that offset indifference where you can't go up or down. Now you could have that micro adjustment right at the buckle itself, whether you push it in, as you guys see here, fully pushed in, and then you can extend it out. So I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was something that was new to the market, really, right? I haven't heard anything before that. And you can go to Fitwell. I believe it's fitwell.com. I'll put a link in the description after this is over. And he has a large range of different finishes to match whatever, watch that you want to match for its finish, whether it be a gold, whether it be a polished, whether it be a blasted, titanium he even has. Just a complete different finish altogether. And listen, these are not paid sponsors. I paid full price, or maybe he gave me like a little bit of a discount, but I'm just spreading the news and giving you guys game. And especially with the BLP, man, when we talk about large watches, and look, I got the BLP early on in my watch collecting career. And it was one of those times where I didn't put it on wrist to see if it was going to fit well. I have a 7¼ inch wrist. So most of the time, even lug to lug is not an issue. But with this bad boy, it pretty much was. And what do you guys have on wrist? Do you guys have larger watches in your collection? And look, we can say that anything over a 42 is considered an oversized. However, it's not really true to the statement where somebody has a smaller wrist, right? So a 40 may wear like a 42 that it does on me, right? So you may like oversized watches that are a smaller size in particular. So the definition changed from wrist to wrist, but at the end of the day, do you like something robust on wrist? Do you have something robust on wrist right now? And is it exclusive to how you like to wear, let's say, tool watches, or is it something where it's like me? So for me, it's more so of how I feel for the day. Sometimes I want a wrist presence, right? And it doesn't do too bad on thickness on the BLP, but again, the lug to lug is crazy. The diameter is like 45, 46 for the diameter. And then the lug to lug, I believe is, I have the notes here, but I believe the lug to lug is pretty far out too. Let me see. On average, it's about 52 millimeters lug to lug. And then the smaller sizes is a 51 millimeter. So that does help. It may not sound like it helps. It may not sound like a big difference, but it is a big difference if you have a slight overhang for it. But again, this Islander bracelet made a world of a difference just for the way that it's curved. And for my eyes, I feel like, yes, I'm maxed out, but it fits a lot better. And I'll tell you something, I'm going to be wearing this watch so much more. And again, I swapped out a lot of different straps. I thought maybe a straight bar with like a mesh or whatever the case may be would make it better, but it really didn't. In fact, it made it look worse because now those lug to lugs really look like they overhanged with the bar sitting here, if you follow me. But now that the attachment is flush and curving down, it makes it a nicer fit altogether. And then you have, so Marc knows what he's doing, man. And look, I showed you guys, I'll show you again. Look how flush that attachment is, man. It's almost like factory. And again, I'm sorry for the shaking, guys. It is what it is. But look at that. Look how flush that is, and nice little design on it. He only has branding on the inside, by the way. On one of the lugs over here, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. You see the little Islander trademark there? He left the clasp bare, and he only put the mark there. Some people are going to appreciate that. For me, I would have been proud to have the Islander actual logo on the clasp itself. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I guess he wanted it to be more reserved, and you wouldn't be as mad if you were expecting it to be bare as you would, you know what I mean, that type of thing. So let's catch up on chat. There's more to talk about this BLP, of course, and there's a lot more to appreciate, things that I forgot the exact specifications for. BLP has best value perspective when accuracy is concerned. I think that, Hannibal, it's actually plus or minus 10 seconds per year, not 5 seconds. You may be right, I may be wrong. But that's insanity, right? We usually get plus or minus 5 or 10, whatever it may be. We're splitting hairs. At the end of the day, we're talking about a year. And dude, that's one of the things that I forgot about this BLP. I'm like, and I kind of knew, because every time I picked it up, sometimes you have to recalibrate your quartz watches just a little bit if you're that type of person that, I don't care if it's seconds off, but if it's a couple minutes off, I definitely want it to be on par. Normally, my quartz watches don't need an adjustment so much, but after several months, they do. But yes, at the price point, plus or minus 10 seconds or 5 seconds, whether you're right or I'm right, is still insanity. So if you want something that is incredibly accurate like this watch produces, then you definitely want to look at the BLP. Maybe you want to look at the different sizes that are offered, right? This is more like the standard size, which again, the 45 by 52 lug to lug is the standard size. And then the smaller size is 43.5 to 51 millimeters. And again, that doesn't sound like a lot, but even if you have a 7¼ inch wrist, and I think it also matters, like, my wrist, not dimensions, but my wrist actual configuration, if you will. Hold on, that's my F91W beeping. Where is it? Hang on one second. Always got to have the F91W, baby. Legendary status, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a rounder wrist, right? My wrist sits flat, which is kind of cool. I do like that it's that kind of shape, because at the joints, I'm 6'4", but all my joints kind of like taper down. Some people have rounder wrists. If you have a rounder wrist, you probably will fill the little tiny gaps in between where the bracelet meets the watch itself. You see how it has like a little tiny bit of a gap, which exposes how straight the watch actually is, which also leans into that issue of lug to lug, where it's going to show it does curve down a little, right? But compared to, let's say, another watch like the DIY Watchclub maxi case that I want to show you guys, because that's also considered an oversized watch. Look at the curvature on that, right? So that's what I was speaking about before. And they may be the same lug to lug. This may be a little bit shy, but you see how dramatic that curve down is on the lug end versus the BLP, which is much straighter. So that's the issue that it causes, unfortunately. Aside from that, You guys know the story of it being a moon watch and everything else. I think that that's where people fall in love with it at first sight. You first find out about the actual Speedmaster from Omega, then you see the price, and then you find out that the side chick made it on board and was actually able to make it to the moon, have its story and everything else, and it's a lot more accessible. So for those who are looking for a moon watch that's more accessible, aside from the actual moon swatch, right, which is another subject altogether, not for this live, phenomenal. And I'm really happy that I got it. Now, I just got this bracelet for it, so it's been some time. I'm only mad at myself for not getting it sooner, so I want to put you guys on game. Let me see what you guys are saying. Eric Mack is in the building. Yeah, we're getting crazy today. He is in the building. Oscar, your name is not Oscar here for some reason, but I know my boy Oscar's in here. He says, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, my boy. How's everything? Hope everything is well. Let me know how you guys are feeling about oversized watches. Let me know how you feel about the BLP altogether. I know you said it's incredibly accurate, and that's something to definitely appreciate. It has a story, and look, stories sell. Story sells when it comes to watches, and it only makes sense because as human beings, as human nature goes, the biggest thing that we're interested in, going back to caveman times, is stories, right? Those depictions that they had on the walls and everything else. Storytelling is by far the most interesting thing for us. So it makes sense when it enters into a watch market and how watches are sold and why watches are sold even more so. Yes, when you have a nice story about a watch going to the moon as a side chick, like I said, plus the price point, the build quality and everything else. Now, I had this for so many years. Actually, I got this very early on in watch collecting, and I got to tell you what, man, this watch has not failed me whatsoever. For those who don't know how the chronograph actually works, so we have nice pushers on here. When you do push the button, and I think Bulliva's being talked about a lot more often, at least in my circles, right? Is that upside down? No. So you see that chronograph going. Now that split second here is going to run for about 30 seconds, and then it's going to stop, and then you could stop, and then when you reset, it actually is a smooth reset. Now, I like that better than the jumping reset. Maybe that burns a little bit more battery when it comes to a chronograph, but I love the smooth sweep altogether. Now, you know that the sub-second dial doesn't have a smooth sweep, that has a tick, but I'll tell you what, and if a phenomenal trade-off to have something ridiculously accurate. You're not going to get, I don't even know if there's watches that are that accurate. Maybe Grand Seiko has something, but a year though? I don't know, man. A full, now Spring Drive is a little bit of a combination as we know, but still it's heavily respected to also be mechanical, but I don't know if it's plus or minus 10 seconds a year. That's great. That's phenomenal. Bulova says, just seconds per year. Various blogs say plus or minus. Yeah, I mean, look, we're splitting hairs, dude. If it's 5, if it's 10, the only way it would make a significant difference in this conversation is if it was plus or minus 1 second a day, right? I mean, plus or minus 1 second a year. 10 seconds, 5 seconds a year is phenomenal, phenomenal. So what else are you guys saying on chat? Nice bracelet. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I highly recommend it. Look, I'm not trying to spend your money. I know you get a little influenced here, but I'll tell you what, man, it was a game changer, man. And somebody actually said that when I posted about it. Somebody owned it already, and he was like, yo, that's a game changer bracelet, isn't it? I'm like, absolutely. It really is. Just again, heed my warning when it comes to buying the correct bracelet for your watch. It's not enough just to match the finish. It's enough to match how you originally purchased the watch. Go back on this live if you're jumping in and you don't know what I'm talking about. On the website, Long Island Watch, I'll put it in the description after this live. He goes and gives you the full breakdown, but you want to make sure because nothing's worse than getting something in the mail, being so excited, and then you find out it's the wrong bracelet. That's cool. Those elapsed seconds. Yes. I have a Citizen titanium Eco Drive chronograph with split seconds too. Yeah, man. And look, for me, I'm never going to necessarily need that kind of accuracy in timing something, but it's still something nice to have. I do like that smooth sweep to reset that actual chronograph, so I fully enjoy that for sure. And again, I fully enjoyed oversized watches in general, right? I showed you guys the DIY that I built with the Miyota. Now, they put this on a larger, thicker case, and it's actually Miyota 9075, so it's a True Traveler GMT. They are a brand that provides you parts to build your watch, yes? So what I suspect, and I didn't confirm this, but what I suspect is that they did that because They want this to fit more than one movement in the event that the Miyota 9075 doesn't take off as much as it does. It is a little bit more involved to do the installation, but nothing too crazy. If you've done a correct installation for the NH35, then this is not going to give you too much of a hassle. You have to have a little bit of experience putting on a GMT hand, because that GMT hand is super flush to the actual dial itself. They are like a sandwich style indices for this to have that clearance, so like that GMT hand doesn't foul any of the indices, which is very nice. They do a phenomenal job as far as construction goes, as far as you being new to watchmaking and watch building. So it is something that I recommend. One of the things that shouts out in my mind is that where the hands attach on the actual pin in the center, the hands only go down as far as they are supposed to, right? They kind of have a step system on there where you can't push it down too far, where let's say your hour hand is going to foul the GMT. So very, very smart innovation. They also give you the tools that actually go for setting each particular hand. So I had a phenomenal job. I had a phenomenal time actually putting on here. This wasn't the bracelet that came with it, but I just felt like this mesh bracelet just went so well. Their bracelet was decent. You guys saw the review for it. But again, a larger size watch, right? In thickness, in diameter. I believe this one, actually, let me pull it up. So I say this right. This is a 42, right? So when we talk about a larger size, most people are going to refer to a 42 being kind of like the max, like we discussed yesterday and Wistful Ignorance mentioned. A 38 to 42 is kind of like where the size measurements are. I would say at a 40 to 42 is where you start to get in the larger size. But again, that's depending on the wrist that you have and just what the dimensions are for your wrist, right? Because a 42 on me is not going to obviously fit the same way as if you had a 6.5 inch wrist. But again, kind of sits like the BLP, a little bit taller, of course. We have a bezel on here, maxi size case, but I love it, man. It gives you that type of pronounced feel, and it's an occasion, man. It's just how I'm feeling for the day and what I want to wear, and having that attachment for me, knowing that I'm the watchmaker to have assembled it, does make things a little bit special. So you guys know I've been recommending that you mess around with building your own watch, however you want to do it. Namoki Mods is one, DIY Watch Club is another. Those are actual established brands that help you facilitate your build and giving you material and tools all in one place to kind of interact with one another. But there's a lot of people who venture off themselves and try to save some coin and do that as well. You can, you're just not guaranteed a product and a service, more so a service. Nobody can guarantee you a perfect product, but if you receive a perfect product, you want to have an established company to back it up and everything else. Excuse me, guys. I'm going to take some water breaks because I'm a little under the weather and everything else. Wistful Ignorance is in the building. You, sir, are the sponsor of this video. By your comment yesterday of talking about larger size watches. Let me catch up on chat, see what you guys are talking about. I have the same Lunar Pilot in Long Island. Yeah, dude, it's phenomenal, isn't it? It's definitely phenomenal. That combination, dude, game changer. I'm telling you guys, man, I don't get this excited, and I don't try to make you feel like making a purchase. A lot of people own this watch, but you're in chat, you own this, man. Tell me not, was this or was this not a game changer for your BLP altogether, man? And I'll tell you what, it's gonna have this bracelet for a very long time, because I've enjoyed the watch for years without a bracelet for that reason. Hey, Skylar from Southern Cali. What's going on, brother, man? Welcome in. I do have a BLP 45. Wish the Boulevard would release a smaller one closer to 40 or 41. You know what, man? And I'll tell you this. I think that they should do two things at once. I think that they should produce a smaller 40 or 42, like you said, right? You said 40 or 41. Yeah, that's fair. I think they should go mechanical too. Why not? At this point, the watch is beloved so much, and I know they have so much invested into the quartz, right? They did the Damascus dial. They did a meteorite dial. They are doing things, and they are a bigger brand, but it seems like they are interested in what enthusiasts are saying, because by far, those two things, Damascus and meteorite, is for sure telling me that only an enthusiast would really be seeking that out. They listened to the smaller size too, which was probably a general consensus. But if they did a 40 or 41, right, or even a 38, right, I think that they should go mechanical at that point. I don't know if that will ruin things now for the way that you're losing that plus or minus, right? I don't expect it to be cost and jump up to $5 grand. For sure, it's going to be like 2 or 3. But maybe they should do things separately. But I think a smaller size for sure. I'm sure that when people were giving the feedback for the BLP to be smaller, they were talking about a 40 or 41. So who knows, man? It's definitely possible. And for my guess, it would be that they're going to do that and continue to make it quartz. I don't think they're going to step away because, again, 10 seconds, 5 seconds a year plus minus is ridiculous. I think I'm caught up on chat. Hold on. What are you guys saying over here? It suits the watch 100%. Another tip, the Moon Swatch rubber straps from Amazon fit the LP like a glove. Nice to know that, bro. Awesome. So if you could put a link to that, that's great. If not, I'll try to search it myself. This is why I like to do these things, because we feed and we share knowledge like this. I haven't. So I think that I fit this watch with an off-the-market rubber strap as well, but I don't think it was as clutch to what you're talking about. What you're talking about was probably better, so I'll definitely look into that for sure. Wearing the 43 deep dive, there you go. Precision diver, 300 meters. Pepsi, yeah, man. And the divers are continuing to be larger in size. We see Erebus with the Titan, like I've mentioned before. I got something for you guys with Phoebus that's also going to have an angular type of case. Nothing too large. I think the Titan is even larger than that. But people are very much so enjoying larger size watches. The only time that I've ever had a problem with an oversized watch was with my Invicta. My Invicta Joker, I still have it. I put it up for sale. It doesn't seem like too many people are interested in it. The problem with it is the thing is a brick. It's like a 53 or 54 millimeter, but it's so heavy. And the bracelet digs, as I said before, my wrists are kind of bony at the joint, so it digs into the wrist. I love it. It's super ugly, but I love the thing. I think it's part of the reserve collection. So what I want to do is find a reserve rubber strap and see if that offsets a lot of that weight. For sure, it's going to make it more comfortable around the wrist. You're still going to have the heavy weight on top, but I love the damn thing. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't sell, and I'll try to find the rubber strap. Let me know, for those of you that collect Invicta and know which watch I'm talking about. We're talking about the one that was 5,000 watches that were sold. I'm trying to find the strap to that. It is my watch. So the story, as I said, we're attached to. Why do you like that Joker watch? It's not that it's a limited 5,000, which is kind of cool. You may debate whether or not 5,000 is actually limited or not. But the point is, my favorite Batman was, my favorite Joker was Heath Ledger. And for some reason or another, that watch just reminded me of it. So that's the reason why I have it. And I might take it down. I might keep it. I might switch out the strap. And you may have to do that on a larger size watch when it comes to the weight itself as well, if it's at that really heavyweight kind of feel on wrist, for sure. When we're talking about a 53 millimeter, that's where you're going to run into those issues. At least that's how it was for me. Aside from that, I've absolutely loved all my larger size watches, whether it be steel, whether it be, I have some other watches I'm going to show you guys, and everything else. What are we talking about? Wearing a 40, I read that one. Oh, with the Pepsi bezel? Yeah, I saw that one, Wristful. I saw that one. That one's nice. 42 millimeter is my max. And you know what, Hannibal? That is very, very common, I think. I hear that a lot. I hear 42 is the absolute max. When I say 42, I think of my Venetianico. I think of, what other watches that I have that are 42? That's not 42. No. But that's enough of an example. My Venetianico is a 42. That's a big boy. That's pushing it. And again, a 42, but what matters more is that lug to lug as well, and how much it's angled and everything else, which I mentioned and I showed you an example of already. So I think that that's pretty important. Because listen, I think about the Zheng Heng. You guys remember the war drum from Zheng Heng? Zheng Heng is the sister company of San Martin. It's the actual micro brand, only offered online, not offered through AliExpress, just through the website itself. So it made sense that San Martin fell into that category and started to do stuff like that. The war drum was a super dope, unique, you either hated it or loved it, but they had the gall to actually go out and produce. I don't have the watch, unfortunately. There was a borrow from Shane from Relative Time. But the lug to lug, the point of that, the lugs on that was like shooting straight out, and that looks crazy. Like when it's overhang on your wrist and it's shooting out straight, no me no gusta, no me gusta. So that's what I mean by that, and that's what made me realize everything else. But yeah, 42 is definitely a lot of people's max. Now you're 42, and if I had to guess, Hannibal, you're over a 7-inch wrist. So a 40 is not going to fly for a 6.5-inch wrist, which makes perfect sense, right? To them, what your 42 is to me and you is probably like a 40 millimeter watch, right? Or maybe even smaller, a 39. So it all depends. It all matters how it falls on wrist, because it could still look robust. It could still look like it's a 42, but it all depends. And I just love wearing robust watches sometimes, man, for sure. Ben 10 is in the building. What's going on, everyone? What's on your wrist? I gave you what was on my wrist. JP, Oscar. Oh, JP's in here? Where's JP? Dad's Mods, it's in the building. Shout out to JP, man. Shout out to JP. Oh, I was supposed to grab your watch too, man. Fail. Epic fail. I can comfortably wear a Murph so the Murph. Okay, let's talk about it. That also became part of the conversation. So I was so glad that I got the BLP in the larger size. Matter of fact, there was no option when I got it, right? And I didn't feel any regret when I got the smaller one. There was a tinge of that. And this bracelet really completely annihilated all the feels of wishing that I got the smaller version. But I am now in the market for that Murph. I'm going to get the Murph. You know what I mean? I bought the watch. I'm just going through the motions until I own it. Now, the Murph is offered in, I believe, a 38 or a 42. The lug-to-lug on the Murph is where I believe that the lug-to-lug on the Murph jets out. It has a slight curve, but again, it's more like the BLP, where it's not super, super curved, versus something like this DIY Watchclub maxi case. So I tried on the 38 at the wind-up shop. It fits. It's not super robust, but it fits like a glove, even on the lug-to-lug. I think it puts it effectively at 47 and change, if I'm not mistaken. The normal 42 puts it at, I think, close to 50. I may have the numbers off, but the point is that on my 7¼ wrist, I didn't get a chance to put on the 42, which I want the 42 because that has the Morse code, right? If you're talking about super noti, now nobody's going to see that code, but I'm going to know it's not there. But then again, the fit is perfect on the 38. So I got to try on the larger size, which is the 42. I should try it on the bracelet as well and go from there, because as we've uncovered and unraveled already, the bracelet for this made a big difference. So maybe that's the case with the Murph. Maybe it's not. But on that one for sure, because it's not a snacker, I'm going to definitely try it on wrist before I do anything with it. 48 is the max of a comfortable long wear. Weight feels good. Got you. 48 is the max. So what's the max? So Hannibal, you said 42 diameter. I'm guessing you're talking about, yes. Lug to lug. What's the max? Given that a watch has a decent angular curve to the lug itself, and for me, that magical number and the max number on a decent curve is probably 50, as long as it's not straight out. And that's fully maxing out my wrist. And listen, some watches, and I think the BLP is a testament to it, because we don't have a bezel on here, right? I mean, technically every watch has a bezel, but you guys know I'm talking about a rotating bezel. It's all dial, right? All dial and crystal. I love how the crystal pops up a little bit. It's crazy how this watch almost looks like, because there's no angular bezel on here, it's straight down, then you have the crystal. So if you've ever removed, I don't know if I could do it with my hand, if you ever removed a bezel on a watch, right, and we're talking about like a diver, this is what it almost looks like. So it's kind of crazy how it kind of looks like it's unfinished because of that, but it's not. And it has the tachymeter and everything else, but it's all dial, man. And I absolutely love it. I'm not even mad that they came out with a meteorite and all this other stuff. Like, I want the OG. I want the one that had the moon dust on it, supposedly. You are correct. The Murph lugs are straight. Okay, so they probably have like a very, very little bit of a curve. And that makes the biggest difference in the world. And like, I was already toying in my mind, like, how do I get that second hand? Like, who's going to switch with me with that second hand so I could put that in the 38 so I can have that Morse code? But listen, I might just give that up, because at this point, in my experience, at this point in watch collecting, like, I really understand how a watch fitting comfortably, and that's really the theme of this conversation, right? An oversized watch still has to be within realm in order for you to enjoy wearing, because I tell you what, man, I did still enjoy this watch, but not as much as I do now with this kind of fixing that that end piece and everything else. It was always in the back of my mind, and only you guys are gonna understand that fully, where it's like, I just wish it was a little bit more curved than everything else. My Invicta Sabakwa is a brick. The Joker that I have, man, and you guys know the reference. It's the original one that was only 5,000 pieces. It's a brick. It hurts to wear, so I'm gonna get a rubber strap for it, hopefully. Can't change the bracelet. It's not, oh man, you can't even change, it's built in. Oh yeah, so that's, see, for me, Oscar, I would have to move on from it. Like, I already saw that there are some strap options for it. And guys, let me know, for those who know Invicta better than I do, that's the only Invicta watch that I have left. I've actually given away a lot of my other ones. That's the only one that I'm really somewhat attached to. Let me know if you have a link directly, because they didn't have it on the website, for that Invicta Joker watch that I'm talking about. Help a brother out. You can run and get... All right, so what else do we have? Oh, so on the subject of bigger watches and stories, I don't know if I've shown this a lot, but this is my Victorinox. Victorinox Ionix, I think it's called. It's not talked about enough, man. This is a bomb watch. Like, I've seen this pop up on Watch Crunch, on wrist shots. People love this thing, and they've had it for so many years. I got this very, very early on. I could tell you the story of the red strap. You could probably figure out why it has a red strap if you're thinking about Shark Tank. This was when I found out about, beater watch. Beater watch. I need a beater. There's a beater watch. Then there's a super beater watch for the gym. And then, I need one for a coffee shop. And I need one for the, you know what I mean? Like, listen, watches are manufactured nowadays so well that almost every watch is a beater watch. But when you start collecting and you start watching them videos and you start watching people who influence you like me, you just get it in your mind. And you guys know the commercial to this watch where the tank is running over it. And I was like, I was saying to myself, because it comes in mechanical as well. It is significantly more. But I'm like, I don't want it to be mechanical because, for vibrations and for when I'm roughing and toughing. So my day of a beater watch necessity is doing yard work or something like that. So I, by definition, don't need a beater watch, but I was in that kind of mood. I got this, matter of fact, my brother gave me this for Christmas or a birthday or something like that. So it's never going to leave my, and you know what? Even if it wasn't a gift, this is underrated. This watch is underrated. They do have a bracelet. The original bracelet that came with it was one of those ones that completely detach at the buckle and it kind of like clips around it. So that was not going to last. I've messed around and I put it back on that bracelet before. It's almost in mint condition. The point is this. I put the red strap on there to highlight that focal point of the second hand that ticks. It is quartz. The way that they construct and build this watch is out of one solid piece. You could feel the heft to this watch. The watch head is significantly heavy. If I had to relate it, I would say that it's similar to like having a watch with a bezel, or even the tungsten bezel that I have with Victorinox. That's what it feels like. It is, and like, you're not used to that when it comes to a quartz watch. Normally quartz watches are less in weight, but this is a chunky boy. The crown is a screw-in crown. It's 200 meters of water resistance. So it's not a diver, but it has that diver capability. It was built to make you feel like it's super robust and you could do a lot of things. So I guess more so in the category of a Gata with the style of the way that it is. But yo, I'll be honest with you. And at the time, I think that it was like sub $100, guys. It was maybe close to 100. It's more now. But super underrated, man. They do a very good job at the 12 o'clock there, like that applied 12 o'clock and everything else. I'm sorry, I know the camera is shaky. See that applied indice at the 12? Very nice, very nice. I like where they put the date wheel as well. Not gonna say a beginner watch, but I will say like price point wise, and again, these have gone up. And if you look at the mechanical versions, it's gone up significantly since then. But when I received this early on, we're talking 4 or 5 years ago, it was at a great price. I was comfortable with telling my brother to get me it as a present. So that much I know for sure. And I think Victorinox is not talked about enough. What do you guys think? Let me catch up on the chat. I beat up all my watches like they owe me money. It's when you're on that Moffat, bro. That steel Moffat with the hydraulics and you have to turn and then you go to move your wrist and you're like ping pong and the pallets and everything else. Yeah, I know a thing or two. Beat Casio, can't go wrong with it. But beater Casio, yo. And let me tell you something, bro. You could not have said it any better than I have, because beater watch, right? This thing, like, you can't do some deep sea excursions because it's only like splash resistant, as they say. I think it's like 30 meters, and it's like not a true solid 30 meters. You can get away with it. I've seen this thing tested to like 200 meters. Some people have oil filled the F91W, and it like 200 meters of water resistance tested. But I think it's underrated for sure in the water resistance. It's underrated on that. It's underrated on a battery, because they're expecting you to mess with the chronograph, use the backlight a lot, set the alarm, and things that drain the power. But if you don't, there's people who own this for 10 years. And yeah, man, so lightweight. I wear this watch almost every single day. I have the Casio Edifice Auto on, but that's just for the live, really, because I wanted to show you that buckle. But really, this is the watch that I double wrist with. This way, it's a little bit more inconspicuous when I'm wearing a watch like this on my left. This is on my right. This is what helps me set all my mechanical watches for the day. It's always on the money. It's really accurate too. So I love my F91W. It's a ride or die every single day. Regardless of the watch, Timex, Tudor, JLC, whatever I'm wristing with, doing hard work. Yeah, man, Hannibal and Wristful, I'm the same way, dude. Like, my watch has to handle my day with the caveat of the moon swatch, right? Like, you got to know your audience. Now, if I'm going to do a day where I'm carrying samples that are 60, 70 pounds and my wrist might get caught on something, that is bioceramic, aka plastic, fancy way to say plastic. If I'm going to play tackle football, not wearing that watch. Outside of that, yeah, I'm wearing whatever watch. And I don't care about scratches and dings and everything else. I love war scars on my watches. That's another thing to look out for when you're wearing more robust watches like this, or all the watches that I'm going to show you. You know, now again, this one is exposed for its crystal. The bezel doesn't really protect it too much, so you have that little bit of a lip. So you may be worried about catching that corner and chipping the crystal. I do believe it's a sapphire crystal on this, yes. So you may worry about something like that. But aside from that, yeah, dude, if I'm wearing, like I showed you guys, the DIY Watch Club, if I'm wearing this, dude, and I know it's mechanical and everything else, I don't care. It's coming with me. It's doing what I need to do. I don't worry about scratches and dents and everything else. I'm like that too, man. Those scratches, going back to story, right? Tying it all together, it tells a story. It tells a story. Have you seen many CWC built... have you seen many CWC built like tanks? Christopher, is that Christopher Ward? No, it can't be. Is that Christopher? What's CWC? Christopher Ward something? I'm not sure. One styled in bracelet. Okay, I read that. I believe Forces go. No, I didn't read this one. One styled in the bracelet of an Invicta Rainbow. Oh, okay. The one, I think that's the one that I sent you, right? Force Quartz Chrono. It's not as bad to wear. Yeah. That's still a bigger watch. Wristful. I think that still also hurt my wrist, and for that one, I was really ready to let go. So that was one of the ones that I sent you. But your wrist is bigger than mine, though. We're the same height, but I think your wrist is either it's bigger or you have a different dimension at the bone itself. So I think you have more meat on the side of your wrist where that bracelet would dig in. Okay, I read this. Wow, you don't know the brand CWC? Oh, snap. Hold on. Not very well, obviously. Bro, Ben, don't come at me, first of all. Okay, first and foremost. Secondly, I don't know everything. CWC. Let me pull it up. CWC. I definitely, like, when I type this in, watches, I'm going to like, oh, yeah, this is Cobalt Watch Company. That doesn't ring a bell, but the CWC does. Oh, like these military inspired watch. Let me see. Coming at me because I don't know. Yo, bro, there's so many brands. What do you want me to do? I've been collecting for 5 years, 3 years, serious. You want me to know every brand that's out there? No, I don't. Collections. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, they were at the show, if I'm not mistaken, too. I've seen these watches. So what was the question again? Have you seen many built like tanks? I haven't seen them in the wild. You know what? Look, it's not talked about in many circles that I'm in. But listen, if you're telling me that it's built like a tank, I will definitely look into it and see what they're adding to the watch to make it that way. But I've seen this watch before. I recognize the logo for sure. Ben 10. Wow, you don't know CWC? Wow. Wow. Bro, I don't know every watch brand. What do you want me to do? Oh, snap. Dirty Dozen watch. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing right here. That's what I'm looking at too. Yeah. They do that Dirty Dozen. That Dirty Dozen. And a lot of brands go after that kind of look. They may be doing something a little different. From my eye, from my what I spy with my little eye, it looks like it's a little bit of a titanium, or at least like a bead blast finish. You like that, Benson? Wowzers. Yeah, military. Yeah, military watches. Yeah, man, I love military watches for sure. That's why I want the. And like when it comes to the Hamilton khaki, the Murph, oh man, I have to have that watch. It's just a matter of, I'm just going through the motions. I will own that. And again, I got to try on the 42. Anyway, going on and moving straight forward, bigger size watches. Let's move these out of the way so they don't drop on the floor here. I got to add in something even more affordable. You guys seen my DW6900. I've done something to the straps as well. This is a bigger boy. I had the dimensions up here as well. Let me see if I could pull it up. Because what they're stating on the DW6900 is because they're counting probably like the flare out on here, right? You see the flare out at the 6 and 3? They're probably counting that for sure. Most of you are probably not going to count that so much. Maybe you will. But they're saying it's a diameter of 53. So that's Invicta territory right there. 53 by 50 and an 18.7. Now, this is used as an example for today's segment because when it is a watch of set dimensions, it's nice to go with Casio. Why? Because it's not made of steel. It's not super heavy, right? I don't have to worry about now. I removed the strap, but you guys all know that it came with a regular resin kind of strap and everything else. But look at the dimensions on my wrist, 7¼ inch wrist. What did I say the lug to lug was? 50 millimeters, 18.7 thickness. That's crazy. But listen, tactical. Sometimes you're in a tactical mood, even though you're not tactical at all, right? And we all know the resistance of G-Shocks and everything else could really do anything that there's not a day this G-Shock will outlast any day that I could put a forward for it. So when it comes to dimensions like that, which by the way, that's how an Invicta sits on my wrist. That's why I don't have any problem with Invicta. I know some people are like twitching sometimes where you even say the name. My only issue with Invicta was that they were so dang heavy. And that's the reason why I had to downsize on my Invicta. I didn't have any of the smaller ones. When I first started, I liked the super big and robust. I wasn't real well versed in something like this, a G-Shock, a DW69. So, yeah, I found that out the hard way. Now, we're at the point where we have those dimensions right here. And as you guys can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, no problem. No problem. Pull it off. 50 lug to lug is maxed probably for me. Like that's where it's at. I don't really have much of an overhang. I don't have an overhang at all. It's on the money. So there you go. And these are pretty straight, right? There's no real like lugs on this. It's just a dimension of the watch itself, right? It's pretty straight on. It kind of gives you that feel here, but as you can see on the bottom, it's pretty much straight. So that's how I know right now that 50 is where it's at for me. A 7¼ inch wrist, 50. Thickness wise, yo, I don't care. I don't care. I want to know in the chat, you guys care about like, is there a max thickness for you? Now it makes a lot more sense when it comes to diameter and lug to lug. Mentioned Hannibal saying 42, makes sense to have a limit on the lug to lug, but is there a thickness max for you? And for me, what is this sucker? Like 18.7 millimeter thickness. Yahtzee. So just to give you an example, this is this and this is that, right? So yeah, very, very thick. No problem whatsoever. I don't care about the actual thickness of the watch whatsoever, so long as you're on the button with the lug to lug. And again, this one's a 53, excuse me. And I don't mind. My wrist is super long, as you guys can see. So having wider on the wrist is not a problem whatsoever. And that's going to lead me to my next example, which I've shown you guys a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But thicker than a Snickers. Remember that guy when he was in court? You said cheese like a bowl of oatmeal. He was like, Yeah, thicker than a Snickers, man. It's crazy. I was thinking of getting a Ionics, but the automatics is about 1K. Yeah, dude, and they were, and that's crazy because the Ionic automatic back in the day was $600. We all know what's going on with pricing in the market itself. So to go from that to that is kind of crazy. I don't know now if also there was particular specifications that were added into that to kind of justify that jump from $400. But originally, when I was in the market for the quartz version, I think that I want to say that the automatic version of this was like $600. So the fact that it's 1K, you got to really be invested in the brand a little bit more. I shy away from the Spitfire flyback because it's 17 millimeters thick. So what's the max, Eric? What's the max? Because like 13.5, 14 is, I don't want to say normal, but when we're talking about a diver type of watch with an actual bezel, I think people kind of have that expectation. If it's like less than a 12.5, if it's like a 12, 11.5, 11, that's kind of impressive, especially if it's a 10.5. I think maybe the San Martin diver, it's considered like a skin diver at that point, is impressive. But what's the max point? Is it 15? Is it 14? Is it the average 13.5? For me, I just let it go, man. But also, too, like, when I say that, it has to make sense with the actual design and everything else, right? Like, if it was just that thick for whatever reason, like it didn't have a reason to be that thick. But I think this is 200 meters. Yeah, it's 20 bars, so 200 meters of water resistance. You got the pushers on there, so that's kind of crazy that this still achieves that. So, like, you know, classic Casio, right? Built for destruction, built for the end of the world, built for a zombie apocalypse style and everything else. So that's just how I'm approaching it. And again, what did I say that was? 18 millimeters thick? That's crazy. But in the world of enjoying watches and everything else in the actual design language, for me, I'm not mad at it at all. No problem. Where was it? 18.7, so basically 19 at that point. That's wild. That's wild. How you like that down the barrel shot? That's wild. But it still works, man. I absolutely love that thing. I absolutely love it. Mission Impossible, right? Was that a Mission Impossible watch? I think so. The other one for sure, the hectagon kind of one. I think he wore that in that one as well. 42 millimeters is the max for Hannibal. Again, I showed you guys this one a million times. Not going to show it to you again. But the point is this. I thought that was too wide for because I looked at the turtles, man. I was looking at the turtles. I had the Tandorio Willard homage. I had that on wrist. It was pretty much very close to dimensions. So I strayed away. Now, I said 42, but this is really a 45, right? That's scary. That's scary. But Seiko is very well known for making something so wide still fit very well, and they achieved this from their lug to lug, right? And I had the specs pulled up. Hold on, just to like cross-reference. I don't want to start spewing. I knew it was going to be a lot of specs, and my mind goes a million miles a second, like you guys know. So I didn't want to say something crazy because I already said this was a 42. 45, thickness 13.12, 13.2, right? So like I told you, standard diver size, something we expect with that bezel, rotating bezel. But lug to lug of 47.7, and as I mentioned before, my wrist is good for a 50 millimeter and a little bit of a curve, nothing crazy, but again, 45 wide, and I'm okay with it. Again, the length of my wrist is very, very long, so that just fills it. Plus, I'm tall, I'm wider, so I have no problem with it, man. This is just one of my serious recommendations. That's why I keep bringing this watch up. And the fact that I modified it and everything else, it's just really, really fun, man. I love the turtle altogether. You guys know I got the turtly clasp for it, man. And I said in my last live that it doesn't have any micro adjust. I meant on the fly. It does have tooled, a lot of tooled. By the way, can we talk about that? When you have tooled adjustments, can you have this many holes as an option, please? Right? Like, have a lot. Yeah, have a lot. Because that is only going to cover the base for a lot of wrists that are out there. Matter of fact, I showed you guys the diver extension on the Bulova. It does extend pretty well. Where's that watch? Where's that watch? Right here. So let me see if I can capture this on camera for you guys. So from here, so let's see. From here, you can't really see it. Wait, hold on. There we go. So you can kind of see how much it extended out there. Good amount. That's all you really need. That is probably less amount of room than this tooled adjustment, but definitely going to cover your thermal expansion, especially when if it's colder. So the way I had to size this is it's colder and it's a little chilly now, right? It's not really hot. So when this is all the way in, right, it fits perfectly on my wrist. Therefore, I only have room to grow out because I don't suspect my wrist is going to get smaller. You have thermal expansion, but you don't have wrist reduction, making stuff up. But you don't have wrist reduction unless you lose weight, right? So if you do that, then you got to remove another link and altogether and play with it. But that's just how I adjust it. And the fact that it had on the fly was fantastic. But yeah, man, you see the curvature on this turtle, King Turtle. Big wide watch, 45 millimeters, like I stated, 45 on the button, 13.22, 47.7 diameter. So a big boy. But if you're into Seiko, it's definitely worth the look. It does come with a Cyclops. I removed that and everything else. Let me see what you guys are saying on chat. Let me get some water. So I'm getting cotton mouth, and I got way too far. Channel on how to lose. I'm missing the context of that. Out, and one of my favorite watering holes. What's up, Trap Vision 3D? I must admit, though, Skylar and Trap motivate me to want to start my own channel one day. And you know what, man? It's infectious. And if you ever, look, all jokes aside, dude, if you ever did, and listen, you have a lot to say. And I'll tell you what, man, the community needs your voice and your opinion. You know, a lot of people feel like there's too many people talking on YouTube, but that only happens if you're just trying to be like a copycat type of situation. You, by definition, by how you chat, Ben, you have something to say, dude. And if you ever want to take that initiative, let me know. Travis and I would be more than happy to walk you through that process. And look, dude, you could dabble with doing content without making anything public. You can make things, what do you call that? Not private, but you can make it unlisted. And then you could send it to me and Travis, and we could look over it, give you some points. And when you feel like it's at the point where the public can view that type of content, then you can take that dive. But you don't have to go on YouTube and put your stuff on public like I did when it has no business being public. What are we talking about? I must admit, okay, I read that. Yes. Back to the Future. The Back to the Future. Oh yeah, that's the new Casio, right? That they came out with that. I saw that. It's not my cup of tea. I could see why a lot of people are going to love that, but that did nothing for me. I love the movie, but for some reason I was not moved by that watch for some reason. But I think it's super dope, and if you want that, that's cool. I'm about to be a micro brand hater. No, what? Like, some of you are Rolex haters. Nobody hates Rolex over here, bro. Nobody hates Rolex over here. Now, the people who wear it. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, dude, Rolex, it's just a watch, man. How could you hate just a watch? Like, that's ridiculous. Nobody hates them, man. I love Rolex. I love Rolex. I don't own one, but I love them. Hey, the Casio calculator. Yeah, that's what you're talking about, Back to the Future. I'm glad I checked because I'm about to go live. You trying to butt heads again? Nah, man, listen. It's all right. Even if we're live at the same time. And I'm going to wrap things up soon here. I've been live for quite some time, so I'm more than happy to pass them keys. But listen, dude, if you had to go live too as well, all that means is that there's more content. You know, people hit the playback. Wristful, 15 millimeter Ben 10. Okay, I think I caught up on chat. Everything that was directed to me, at least. I got one more watch to show you before we peel off. Hamilton Cacti Pilot Cooper is the most slept on watch in the last 10 years. You might be right, bro. I got to look into that. Yes, Ben 10. That's another watch that I'm not familiar with. Okay? Listen, dude. Listen. I'm not afraid to say what I know and what I don't know. Because what I know, I go in. And what I don't know, it's a lot better than me going like, oh, yeah, CWC. Oh, yeah, phenomenal watches. Phenomenal. And so okay, so what do you think about it? Phenomenal watches. Phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather just be like, rings a bell, but not really. You know what I mean? I don't know how we got back into that. I'm here to create problems. Oh my God. We gotta land this plane. We have, bro. You know your beat when a troll has a wrench. You're in trouble. I don't blame you at all for the price. I'd rather buy cheaper brands as well. You know, and listen, Ben. going back to me collecting for only 5 years, and I only say 5 years, that's a short amount of time, you know this. Because here, at least for me, it wasn't like, boom, year one, and then I was like straight into watch nerd. It took 2 years. Because the first year I was wearing an Apple Watch, I was wearing whatever, you know what I mean? It really sunk in 2023 when I went to Wind Up. And that's why I have so much enthusiasm for micro brands and independent brands, because that's what really ignited the fire and ended up me coming on here and doing these things. But I love every category. I just so happen to be able to afford more micro brands and independent brands. So therefore, it's easier for me to be interested and talk about that. And guess what? Big brands, bro, they're covered. There's people that have massive... What am I going to tell you about the new Rolex or the new Patek Philippe or any other watch that somebody has on hand or can go to an AD or own? You know what I mean? So what information are you going to get from me in that kind of respect? So I stay in my lane, even though I like to incorporate Longines, I like to incorporate Tissot, I like to incorporate, you know, some of those brands here and there. I own a Tissot, so you know, it doesn't mean that I'm not allowed an opinion. How did we get here? High, low, old, new, spend it. There you go. Just make sure you invest. To end off, ladies and gentlemen, I have this watch here as an example that right now it's on the semi-chopping block. Chopping block. It's my Santana Blancpain Homage Holiday Inn. Santana is what I put on the dial for the actual logo. It's one of the ones that I was messing around with very, very early on. I actually got the parts. Speaking of sourcing parts, this was a AliExpress special, and I'll tell you what, I got a couple of these cases. The second case that I got from here wasn't, there was issues with the crown tube and the crown being received. So that's why, like, when I tell you those things, like, it's not just pushing an agenda for DIY Watch Club or Namoki Mods or the established brands that I talk about rather than sourcing it from AliExpress. It's because I've been through it, and I've been through it many, many times before, right? I built maybe 50 watches at this point. So I can tell you there's a difference. You'll say money, but you're rolling the dice. So on this one in particular, it's okay. I'm not feeling... The strap was supposed to also be a homage. It functions well. It works properly. There's no issues with it. I think it's an actual NH38 on here for the no date and everything else. But it's a larger watch on wrist for sure. But it's on the chopping block. And I'll tell you why. And it's kind of weird that a watch with my name on it is on the chopping block. But I'm not really feeling the strap, man. I'm not really... I guess it's kind of just played out for me, the blue on blue, and it's at a weird dimension. I think this on a mesh might salvage it, right? But it has that super wide. This is probably, if I had to guess, let me put it up against the Turtle. It's wider than the Turtle. So it's like a 46, 47 width, right? Big boy, big boy. But I think it's still super dope. I did achieve what I wanted to achieve out of it. I just got to find a bracelet that's going to work. The lug to lug is like one of those weird sizes. Like it's like 23 and a half. Where'd you get the half from? So I have to see if they have like a mesh or something that'll go with it. Maybe just a different strap altogether. I don't know. I'll take recommendations if you guys have them for what I should put on this watch altogether, but I think a mesh would be kind of nice for that kind of style. I don't know if like the original Blancpain has a specific style that they use on here. Maybe I just do a leather and tone it, or maybe I do, I don't know, something, but I got to figure it out. But again, the point is this. Big boy, right? Another big boy in my collection. And the only reason, again, it's on the chopping block is not because of the size itself. And again, it's larger than the Turtle, wider than the Turtle. So, you know, I just want to show you guys how it still could look good. Not saying, look, your wrist is probably going to be different, right? So that may not be the case. But I have a 7¼ inch wrist, and I think that this still fits clutch. It's not too much of an overhang if there is one. It does slightly curve down and everything else, but I love it, man. I love the size. I hope I could salvage it. Right now, I salvaged a few watches. Not that the Turtle was on its way out, but having that bracelet that I found was fantastic. This one for sure, I'm not going to say it was salvaged because I wasn't getting rid of the BLP. There's just too much going on that I like about it for me to get rid of it. But I'm definitely closer to it because of this Long Island watch bracelet for it. And I thought it was just really cool for the fact that it had the on the fly on the bracelet itself. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. We're going to land this plane, ladies and gentlemen. Let me catch up on chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. Oversized watches are a topic. Again, Erebus is, there's a bunch of brands that are focusing on larger size watches, putting them within the collection. I don't think that's ever going to go away. I don't think smaller watches, but if I have to tell you what my Goldilocks size is right now, I want to say it's 38 to 42. Wristful hit it right on the head the other day. Not that you won't see me sporting something wider than that, because you definitely will. But I don't foresee me overshooting the watches in my collection with crazy widths and thicknesses and everything else. I think once I have like 5 or 6 watches, and there are a few more, I didn't bring my 42 Venetianico. That's not really like a crazy size as is for the ones that I've shown you here. So that's the reason why I didn't bring it. But I think that it's a category, it's a mood, it's a feel. It does fit within your collection. It does have a place. Sometimes you want something robust, especially as a man. Not that watches have sexes, but I'm only giving you my perspective as a man. I do want something that's going to be and looking and feeling more masculine, because to me, it does make it feel more of a masculine type of thing when I have a really big, robust watch on there. It could be super toolish. I'm not going to be super handy, but I feel like I'm about to do something. And, but again, watches don't have sexes. My watches, my wife has put on some of my 42. She's worn my Noctua watch. And you know what, man? Before she did that, she has a 6.5 inch wrist. Before she did that, I would have said, that might be a little too big. But I tell you what, man, sorry, I'm a little sick. It looked fantastic on her wrist altogether. And you guys could see some of the wrist shots in the videos, because I include her wrist, and I try to include her wrist a lot more so you guys can see what a 6.5 to a 7.25 inch wrist looks like on each watch. Let's land this plane. What are you guys saying in chat? No one cares about your Venetianico, your Bru, your Santana, your Ski Dweller. Oh, man. Can't wait till you go live, bro. Just saying that, bro. We're going to go tit for tat. Trap and I about to enter the game. Yeah, I prefer vintage Certina, Doxa. Doxa's another one, man. You guys know about the Squale, and I believe Squale made Doxa cases once upon a time. Tag Heuer, couple names for that matter. But Doxa has that look. But I don't know, man. I want definitely the entry level. I don't need the 750. I'll get the entry, but even the entry level is like 1200, 13. No, maybe more now. Maybe more now. But they have that iconic look, just like the Squale does, just like a lot of the watches that you saw here today. The Boulevard, the Turtle. They all have that iconic look, and Doxa definitely nails that. For me, when someone says Doxa, I see that orange colorway. They have a lot of history, so it's definitely worth owning one of them. I kind of understand appreciating the history aspects from the Squale, so I kind of understand it. I get it. For me, it doesn't rock the boat tremendously. That was the point of me experiencing the Squale, because I wanted to see if brand heritage does something for me when the watch is on wrist. Now, I do appreciate that Squale, and I do like being able to say things like that. Well, you know, they made the case for Tag Heuer and Doxa, and I like saying it. I like saying it. But what's more important to me is that I connect to the actual design. I relate to the actual, because I'm nerdy. Even if it has 500 meters, which it does, I know that I'm never going to come close to that. But for me, those are the things that come first before everything else, although I still appreciate and respect them paving the roads to be able to be excited about micro brands, watch enthusiast brands, independent brands, and everything else of the like. Fair enough? Oh, I hated seeing so many oversized watches at Wind Up, Handheart. Yeah, man, I did see a lot of oversized watches. That's the brand, Breitling. Citizen they're used to, but with 44s. And you know what, man? 44s, I think Hannibal said it correctly, man. For most people, 42, and you still got to get the lug-to-lug correct. But yeah, 44 is pushing it. I get it. This is past the 44. I think I said it was like 45, 46, but that's not going to be for everybody. And I could definitely understand why that's not the case. But again, we are still also entering into a realm where even micro brands are appreciating smaller sizes. We talked to Erebus. He's the only micro brand that went to a 34, I believe, was the smallest. Was that the smallest? So that's not lost either. Like, that's in the mix and people know. And I think that eventually we're going to hit a 50-50 point where you're going to see oversized and undersized just be almost as equal. I think that that's where it's ultimately going to head because, you know, we're getting comfortable with either way. As soon as a 25-year-old Tissot, I wouldn't buy any modern Tissot or Hamilton. Santana, trash and cherries on top of it. So, and that's how you feel, bro. And I respect it. I respect it. Matter of fact, my my Tissot PRX was a celebration watch, bro. I bought that watch because it was celebrating a milestone, and it was my first Swiss-made watch. I don't know why I did that. It is Swiss-made, and I just appreciated it, man. I love that thing. I love that thing. I miss my Rolex like I'm missing Oprah Winfrey swan diving me in front of me from a WWE steel cage. That is one way to say something, for sure. I think I'm caught up on chat. We're going to close things out here. If you're not talking about long jeans, Tissot Citizen, then you're not a true enthusiast. You're, dang, bro, you ate a whole bowl of troll oats. Told us the other day that you miss your Rolex so bad. Yeah, screw it. Yeah. I think I caught up on chat. Skylar told me that I hate the Rolex collective. Man, you're lying. What are you doing? What are you doing? But listen, everybody knows that's on this channel that I accept every kind of watch collector at the end of the day. If you told me you collect Apple watches and you wanted to be in this chat and you wanted to have a convo, you're welcome. You're welcome then, you know? I think I caught up. I think that was everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this was fun. Old school style. Underground type of status, you know? Where I could actually go back and forth with you guys and everything else. Stop the cap, Skylar. Yo! What are you guys? On the same mission? Whatever, man. That's all right. That's all right. I got thick skin, baby. You can't hurt me. Hurt me a little bit. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I don't know when the next live stream is going to be. I don't know where I'm going to be. I might be at the wind-up shop. I might be home or I might do this again. But what I like about this is that I can talk to you guys right off the bat, go back and forth and everything else. I'm not as distracted. And getting the information and learning brands like CWC and being made fun of not knowing them is what it's all about. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Trap Vision, I think he's going to go live right after this. So if you want more live streams, go over to Trap Vision 3D. Please troll him and destroy him in the chats. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Later, guys. Peace.